fund AU peace operations, and the resources are supposed to be generated by the African countries themselves. But due to some missions that the AU has actually undertaken, and notably the mission in Darfur, these funds is essentially to a certain extent depleted. Member states are also not on a regular basis providing the necessary funds to finance this fund. This is a situation that does need to change going forward, which is why you hear of the partners who come in to support this peace fund. The European Union, I think since 2003, 2010, has contributed almost to 550 million euros to support the peace initiatives within the AU. So that is my essential kind of comment on AFSA and its introduction. In terms of the way forward, the AU will continue to have a role in low-intensity conflicts, particularly where the United Nations does not want to intervene. Places like Comoros, which are completely outside of the map, you know. African Union has to also continue to play a political role in co-deploying with the United Nations. We have an example in Darfur, where both organizations are working together. African Union regional economic communities, member states should also begin to work more effectively with the United Nations standby arrangement system. The AU should definitely develop a capacity for rapid deployment in the cases highlighted of grave violations of human rights, genocide, crimes against humanity, war crimes, and so on. And the Peace and Security Council does need to have a very sound, if you will, approach to dealing with peace support operation missions. To conclude, for Africa, it's evident and it's clear, and I think it is the key focus of this meeting and of this conference organized by ICIP, Casa Àfrica, that regional security will remain a key challenge going forward. There needs to be a shifting focus on conflict prevention, because that is really where we can begin to prevent the atrocities mounting and the conflicts escalating to a point where it becomes very expensive to actually manage these situations. So there are expectations in terms of conflict management. Peace enforcement is becoming a dimension that IU has to be involved in if we look at the Comoros situation. And we do need to find out how that can work more effectively with United Nations peacekeeping, which is, as we know, the United Nations is the institution that has the global authority and mandate for the maintenance of peace and security. So the African Union should not really be seen as replacing the United Nations, but we should find ways for these two entities to work more effectively together. Post-conflict reconstruction remain a key task going forward. The United Nations has established the United Nations Peacebuilding Commission, headquartered in New York, and there is clearly a lack of communication at the moment between the UN Peacebuilding Commission and the African Union. There is a need for greater communication. Clearly, issues of resource and funding will be a major challenge going forward, and that is really one area that African countries themselves need to focus on. But ultimately, only the growth of democratic African leadership will ensure long-term peace building and the prevention of conflict. So this is also an area that we do need to focus on. It's not essentially just peace and security, but we need to look at how to entrench, consolidate democratic principles, democratic leadership, and leadership that is responsive to the people themselves. So resources and leadership remain key. International re-engagement with Africa, we can see that happening. Discussions over the last few days, we've talked about China and India and so on and so forth. And we do need to always keep focusing on the need for African countries to own this African peace and security architecture. And so it does mean that the African Union has to evolve to become more effective, to be strengthened. And anything that assists that process, I think ultimately would be a positive thing. I think I would end it, Madam Chair. Thank you.